Joel Tubman here from Golf Monthly, and we're at Stoke Park Golf Club talking about the new Nike Vaporfly drivers. Now, you've probably seen it in Rory's hands and a few other Nike athletes over the last few weeks, and most notably, you probably tell it's a very distinctive colour. We've got it here, so there's two different versions I've got in my hand here. We've got the Vaporfly and the Vaporfly Pro. Now, aside from the new colour, Nike have made some pretty important technological changes to the driver and the way it's constructed. The most important, I think, is the titanium crown, which has actually been made 30% lighter. It's the same grade titanium, they've just managed to thin it out in certain areas to save that weight and place more mass on the bottom of the head to lower the CG and increase the launch angle to help give you more distance. Nike have also changed the structure and shape of the compression channel behind the face to give you more forgiveness and distance and off-center hits. This has been helped by this new Hyperflight face. So Nike have changed the way they've engineered this club face to give you more forgiveness on off-center hits. As we see with Nike drivers from previous years, we've got this covert cavity back design. It's the fourth generation now of the covert cavity design. And what this has done, essentially, this hole in the back of the head spreads more of the mass towards the heel and toe areas, makes the club very forgiving. But to increase the efficiency of the club head and the stability that you feel at impact, Nike have implemented these two fly beams. Now, we saw it with the previous Nike driver, the Covert 2.0. They've actually changed the width of these. These are slightly wider now, and they're a little bit more stable, a little bit more rigid, and that's just going to make the driver feel more solid at impact, increase the efficiency of the club head, and give you more distance across the face. It comes in three different club head designs. I've got two of them here today. The first is the Vaporfly, which is the standard model, more the all-ability driver aimed at a broader spectrum of players, 460cc and retails at £249. And the second I've got here is the Vaporfly Pro, which is the model that Rory McIlroy will be using, a lot of all the other Nike Tour athletes. Still 460cc, a little bit more of a pear-shaped look to it, deeper face, shallower from front to back, going to give players a little bit more workability. Both drivers have the flex loft on the hosel, so not only can you change the loft, you can also change the face angle from left, neutral and right, depending on your preference. The Vaporfly Pro, which you can see here, has these kind of black cosmetics on the sole and also the face, so that makes it look a little bit different from the Vaporfly, which has the silver on the face and on the sole as well. So really interesting to see how these drivers stack up. I've got my SkyTrak launch monitor, I've got my fitted spec that I was fitted for at the launch event at Archerfield a few months ago. Really excited to see how both of these drivers perform and also how they compare between the two. So obviously down by the ball, it's got a very unique look to it with this photo blue. It's certainly going to appeal to the younger audience. Do I like it? I'm not too sure yet. Maybe if I hit a few more good shots with it, I'll start to come around to it. But with the silver face, very easy to align at address. So let's see if we can send one out. It certainly feels very light, actually. Very light to swing. Let's see if we can get a good one with this. A bit necky that one, but still stayed pretty straight, even with the left to right wind actually. Okay, so we've switched over to the Nike Vaporfly Pro driver. This is the one that Rory's been using recently. We've got a slightly different shaft here. We've got the Diamana blue board, so 60 grams, so slightly heavier than the shaft I was testing with the original Vaporfly. Same loft setting, 9.5 with the neutral face angle. So let's have a few shots on the SkyTrak and see how it goes. Immediately down by address, it's got a slightly more compact look to it, certainly more pear-shaped than the original Nike Vaporfly. Yeah, so it looks kind of more compact for better players who want to work the ball a little bit more. They're going to be able to do that, I think, with this driver. So I was actually quite impressed with the flight on the standard Vaporfly. It was nice and towering, but not too high or spinny or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how this Pro version goes. Let's see how we get on. Certainly a similar feel, quite a loud sound to it, very distinctive, quite high pitched. You can see from the impact location there, pretty central, maybe slightly towards the heel. Okay, so I've been testing the new Nike Vaporfly drivers, both the standard driver and the Pro model. Let's have a look at some of the numbers we got on our SkyTrak launch monitor. Starting with the Vaporfly driver, got some really interesting data. Distance was averaging around 253 carry mark, totaling around the 270 mark. So some pretty good numbers, I'm pretty happy with those. Spin was a little bit high, perhaps averaging around the 2.6 mark, which is a little bit high for me, but when you compare that with the data for the Vaporfly Pro driver, which I would expect to go a little bit further for me, to perform a little bit better, it's geared towards faster swingers, of which I can happily say I am towards that category. Although club speed was down, averaging around 102 mark. Spin was certainly lower, averaging around the 2.1, 2.2, which is what I would expect from my driver, maybe a little bit low actually. But distance was down compared to the standard driver, totaling looking at around 268, 269s. Just looking at the launch angle differences as well, the Vaporfly Pro did launch slightly lower, averaging around the 15-degree mark. I think that was slightly due to the heavier shaft which I've got in here, which I thought would help me, but it would appear that according to the numbers that it actually hurt me a little bit in terms of launch and maximising distance. In fact, the Vaporfly driver did outperform the Vaporfly Pro for me, which I was very surprised about, given that I preferred the look of the Vaporfly Pro. It's more pear-shaped, it's more compact, it kind of leans itself towards shaping the ball, which I like to do off the tee. But this did certainly spin the ball a lot less, which is what better players are looking for. So if you're a fast swinger who likes to have spin off the ball, I do recommend you try this Vaporfly Pro first, because the spin numbers were a lot lower with this than they were the standard model. But don't assume that if you're a faster swinger and a better player, you're going to get on better with this than you are the Vaporfly. So I think the only way you're going to find out is by comparing them both head to head like I've just done. Like I said, for me, the Vaporfly just edged the Vaporfly Pro, which was very surprising, but you're only going to know if you try them head to head. So all in all, very good performance from both of these drivers. Marginal differences between the two for me. Recommend you try them out if you're looking for a new driver.